Glowing red eyes, an unmasculine voice, he reads too fast and likes old comic book stories, he edits poorly, he mashes.
This comic has a very foreboding introduction. The writer tells us, from the depths of the sea, the thing came to track its murderer to the ends of the earth. Hello, and welcome to this episode of Murder Incorporated. This is our 9th episode. In this episode, we proudly bring you a timeless classic in horror comics called The Thing from the Sea. This comes to us from the pages of Adventures into the Darkness, Issue 6, published in October of 1952. It was published by Standard Comics. It is both classic and rare. This is an independent production. Please like, comment, subscribe, share, donate, and visit our merchandise store. Every little bit helps. On the bridge of the tramp freighter Gypsy, Captain Jeb Randall and his first mate, John Hanson, face each other angrily. The captain said, "Hanson, when we hit port, I want you to stay away from Kathy Peters. I'm going to marry her." Hanson replied, "I've had enough of your orders, Randall." "Have you now?" the captain asked. "Will, I'm ordering." And Hanson sucker punched his captain. Hanson said, "She's going to be mine, and you won't stop me." And shortly afterward, a man falls overboard. The pilot mentioned, to Hanson, "Seems funny. A big storm like this should come up just after the old man fell overboard." "Never mind that," Hanson said. "We can't find him. We'll have to head for port." Another crewman then yells and points, "Look, Mr. Hanson, in the water. It's the old man, laughing at us." Hanson ordered, It's some kind of fish, you fool. Get below." "Sounds like someone laughing," the pilot said. John Hanson exclaimed, "It's just the wind in the rigging. Stand by your wheel and steer the course." But Captain Jeb Randall's memory was not so easily erased. A month later, at a dinner party, Kathy was very irritable. She told Hanson, "John, I suppose I do love you, but it's so soon after Jeb's death to announce the engagement." She was blonde and trim, and looked lovely in a low-cut, formal dress with cleavage and black choker. John was in a tux, blonde too, tall and broad, very handsome. He told her, "He would have wanted it this way, Kathy. Before he died, he told me he didn't love you and that we should marry." She sighs and turns around. She tells the crowd, "Gather round, everyone. John and I have an announcement to make. We're going to..." "The lights have gone out," John said, startled. Kathy was nervous. She finally said, "That storm came up so suddenly, and there's a strange smell in the room, like the smell of the sea." And a somewhat pale and green zombie-like version of old Captain Jeb Randall then appeared outside the big window. A fierce wind blowing trees and rain. Lightning crashed. Thunder rolled. The smell of rotting man and fish filled the parlor. John choked out the words, "What's that thing there?" John then summoned his courage in front of Kathy, the crowd, the ghost, and God, yelling, "Go back! Go back where you came from. You're dead and I'm not afraid of anything, living or dead." Kathy expounded, "The storm's gone, as quickly as it came, but that figure outside the window, what was it?" John embraced her, saying, "Nothing, Kathy, a prowler, and you never finished announcing our engagement, remember?" Kathy pulled away and said, "I'm not going to announce our engagement, John. There's something strange about you, something I can't understand. It's better that we never see each other again." And he heard a ghostly howling laughter from the night. John stuttered, "What?" John Hansen was distraught, depressed. Shortly, he was signed up as captain of the Albatross, a freighter bound for the Caribbean. His men were concerned. He seemed unsettled, and they knew it. "What do you think of the old man, Jerry?" one asked. "He's a gloomy one. Blast me if you don't look like he was haunted," was the reply. "Look ahead there," another shouted. "Breakers," Jerry said. "We're headed for the rocks. Let's get up to the bridge and see what's wrong." When Jerry and his friend arrived, "Hey, helmsman, watch your..." But he couldn't finish. His friend said, "Wait, what is it?" "That thing standing at the wheel." At the wheel of the ship was the green, glowing, zombie-like ghost of Captain Jeb Randall. And in another part of the ship, John was yelling, "Don't stand there like an idiot. Why is the ship off course?" The missing helmsman was there, looking a bit frightened, and answered, It got very cold all of a sudden, and then this thing took the wheel." John ordered, "Stand by to run around." The ship was then hitting the shallows. A loud and eerily croaking laughter filled the air, and the newly titled Captain John Hansen's heart sank in confusion and fear. "Abandon ship," he ordered. "She won't last much longer. She's breaking up." And next, after hours after fleeing the lifeboat, John is still standing up, screaming all around, "You broke my ship on the rocks, but you can't break me. You'll never break me." His crew are all alive, and all are quite unnerved, listening to the lunatic rant. Now, with his last captain mysteriously dead, his first command scuttled to the bottom of the sea, and rumors of dire, evil specters following him, John Hansen is unemployable. No owner wants to take him as captain, and no crew wants to sail under him. They say things like, "I ain't sailing with Hansen." "Not me. He's jinxed, that's what." And John often hears phrases like, "They say something comes out of the sea that follows him." But eventually, in a dive bar in Havana, John does find a new hope. "I hear of you, Senor," a greasy, balding little man offers. "You are Hansen the Jinx skipper. I can use you. I cannot pay much, of course." John was drunk, but quickly replied, "I'll sail anything, carry any cargo, and no questions asked." His new ship was wooden and old. His new crew barely spoke English and were greasier than his new boss. He knew they didn't trust him. He knew they'd heard of him. He knew they spoke behind his back. But he had no choice. And they were barely out to sea, John ordering a man, "Go aft and check the rifles in hold number 2. See, Captain," the seaman replied, but then spotted old Captain Jeb Randall's green zombie arm rise over the railing as the ghost laughed tauntingly. "Diablo," the seaman screamed. John Hansen was again out of a job. They had gotten back to harbor quick and did not lose ship or man, but all the crew were scared witless. The owner and gunrunner said, "I must request that you leave this ship immediately, Senor. The men will no longer sail with you." John answered, "All right, I'm going." And on, John Hansen wanders to the far corners of the world. But the laughing nemesis follows him until no ship owner in the world will give him a command. And months later, on a lonely beach on a desolate Samoan island, looking out into the ocean, we hear John screaming, "I'm a beachcomber, Randall, but I'm still on my feet. You haven't got me yet." And then old Captain Jeb Randall, hearing the challenge, trudges up out of the water. Locals see this and are shocked. "Look, in the surf, a sea devil rises from the deep." And John begins to run. He runs inland through the thick of the jungle, over rocks and boulders. John was screaming as a crazy man, "No, no, you're dead, Randall. Can't take me. You can't." The two witnesses also run. They run from the zombie ghost, and they run toward the prefect of police. The prefect asks them, "You try to tell me that a monster emerged from the sea and dragged Hansen back with it? Preposterous." "It is true, sir," one says. The three men are at the site on the beach that the two had just run from. The prefect continues. Ridiculous. But he sees something odd before him. And yet, he says, Hansen is gone, and this strange trail of seaweed. And all three men are shocked to suddenly hear a ghastly, croaking laughter echoing across the waves.